My sister tried turning me into her full-time babysitter before running overseas, but the evidence I gathered set off a chain reaction she never expected, and one move sent her entire world crashing back on her. I, Mark, 35 male, am the bad guy now. You know, for not wanting to raise someone else's kid while their mom finds herself overseas. My sister Leah, 32 female, thought she could drop her kid Riley, 6 female, on me like luggage for 3 years. And when I said no, let's just say it turned into a full-blown family disaster. Group chat meltdowns, surprise visits, people picking sides, it got messy real fast. I work from home, I keep to myself, and for a long time I stayed quiet. But when you get used like a free babysitter for 2 years straight and then they try to make it permanent, yeah, you either explode or you do what I did. Here's how I handled it, and no, I'm not sorry. So, you ever get roped into something so gradually you don't even realize you're screwed until you're 2 years deep and quietly dying inside? That's pretty much what happened to me. I work from home doing back-end stuff for a tech company. My job requires peace. There's not total silence, but like minimum noise pollution, no chaos, no small humans screaming about crayons in the background. You know, normal stuff a grown adult would expect in his own house. Except I made the critical mistake of being related to Leah, my younger sister. Leah is the type of person who thinks being mildly inconvenienced is an act of violence against her existence. You could offer her a gold bar and she'd complain it's too heavy, that kind of person. She's also a single mom, heavy quotes, because while she does technically have a kid, a 6-year-old daughter named Riley, she treats motherhood like a subscription she forgot to cancel. She's constantly talking about how hard it is being a full-time mom, while also spending most weekends drinking overpriced smoothies with her friends, or vanishing off the face of the earth for what she calls mental resets. Translation: she's on a date with some poor dude who doesn't know she comes with an unpaid babysitter and a 6-year-old side quest. Guess who the unpaid babysitter is? Yeah, this guy. Started simple. Hey Mark, can you watch Riley for a couple hours? I've got this important thing. Sure, cool. I like my niece. She's chill, little chaotic goblin energy but sweet. I figured no big deal. Then it turned into she'll just stay till I finish my shift. Then I have a dinner thing. Then I forgot to pick her up. I fell asleep. And before I knew it, Riley was basically setting up camp in my living room 4 days a week. No pay, no favors, not even a thank you card. And I get it. She's a mom. Life's hard. But Leah never even tried to make it fair. No snacks packed. Sometimes Riley showed up in a shirt that still had food crusted to it. Once she showed up with no shoes in December. I'm sitting there working through a dev sprint while trying to explain to a 6-year-old why she can't put peanut butter on the router. And meanwhile, Leah's posting selfies at a spa with the caption, "Mommin' is a full-time job." The disrespect is spiritual. Riley's a good kid, but she's not easy. She's loud, gets bored fast, and doesn't understand that Uncle Mark's boring rectangle work, her words, pays the bills. She's clingy too. Started calling my apartment her other home. That one broke me a little, not going to lie. At some point, I started documenting stuff. Nothing crazy, just little things, missed pickups, no-show weekends, Leah asking me to cancel meetings so she could drop Riley off early, the time she left the kid with me on a Saturday morning and didn't come back till Sunday night claiming her phone died. But her Instagram story said otherwise. Yeah, I screenshotted those. I'm not stupid. I didn't even have a plan at that point. I was just tired. And every time I tried to talk to her about it, she hit me with the emotional blackmail. You're lucky you don't have kids, Mark. Some of us don't have it easy. Then Mom would chime in from the peanut gallery like, you know Leah's been through a lot. Just help her. She's your sister. You ever feel like you're the only sane person in a family full of professional excuse makers? That's me. Always has been. Anyway, one day things just escalated. Leah drops Riley off at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. Says she'll be back by 4. I had back-to-back Zoom calls, deadlines, my headphones are on. I'm halfway through debugging someone's junk code, and Riley strolls into frame during a client call wearing a tutu and asking if clouds pee when they're sad. Look, I'm all for whimsical questions, but my client was not impressed. That's when I realized I hadn't eaten anything in 8 hours, had a pounding headache, and this wasn't just helping family anymore. This was a straight-up hijacking of my time, my space, and my peace. So I started taking this more seriously. I created a folder on my drive called Leah Shenanigans. Because I'm not calling it evidence like I'm on Law and Order. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just a pissed-off older brother with a knack for Google Docs and passive aggression. Over the next few weeks, I kept adding to it. Texts, timestamps, photos of Riley S. bruised knees, nothing abusive. But she clearly wasn't being watched properly on Leah's time, missed dinners, even voice memos when Riley would say stuff like Mommy said she's going to be out having fun, so I'm staying with you. Awesome. Glad we're all clear on who the actual parent is. But here's the thing. This wasn't even the worst part yet. Nah, the worst part was what came next. Mom called me one Saturday morning and was like, "Hey sweetie, come over for lunch. We're all eating together. Leah has something exciting to share." That phrase, exciting to share. I should have known, should have run, should have faked my own death or thrown my phone in a lake, but nope, like an idiot, I showed up. I should have sensed it the second I pulled up and saw Leah's car already there. She was early. Leah is never early to anything that doesn't involve bottomless pancakes or shoe sales. So yeah, I parked, grabbed the dessert I picked up because Mom insisted on bringing something even though I knew she was just trying to guilt me into looking like a team player, and headed inside. Place smelled like roasted guilt and manipulation with a side of betrayal casserole. Mom greeted me all smiles like she hadn't been sending me passive-aggressive texts all week. "Hi honey, I made your favorite lamb stew. Lamb stew, great. The official family dish of we're going to say something you won't like, but we hope you shut up because your mouth's full." But I gave her a dry thanks and walked into the dining room. Riley was already there playing with a spoon, humming to herself. Kid looked tired, like she'd spent the last 3 nights being shuffled between babysitters and late pickups. Her hair was a mess and her hoodie was on inside out. Cute, yeah, but also kind of depressing when you realize no one else noticed. Leah was on the couch, phone in hand, laughing at something on TikTok. Probably a video about mom hacks she's never applied in her life. We sat down to eat. Conversation was fake cheery, like a bad sitcom pilot. Mom was on overdrive talking about the weather, her garden, the adorable neighbor's dog that pooped on her lawn. Classic stalling. And then, as expected, the trap snapped shut. "So," Mom said, spooning more stew onto my plate even though I hadn't finished the first helping. "Leah has something exciting to share. Oh boy, here we go." Leah looked up from her phone like she'd been waiting for her cue on a reality show. "I got a job offer," she said, trying to look humble but absolutely glowing. "It's overseas, 3 years, huge company, triple the salary. They're flying me out and everything." I nodded. "Nice. Hope they include parenting lessons in the onboarding package." She ignored that. "Of course, it's in Europe," she went on. "Fresh start, stable future, amazing benefits. I could finally have the life I always dreamed of." I took another bite slowly, didn't say a word. I was waiting for the catch, the fine print, and here's where you come in, sucker moment. It didn't take long. Leah set her fork down like she was about to casually order coffee. "Not dump a human being on me." "I'm not taking Riley with me," she said. I almost choked, not from the stew, just from the audacity. Mom immediately chimed in like she was tag-teaming this nonsense. "She thinks it's better for Riley to stay here. Her school, her friends, her environment, it's more stable." "More stable? Yeah, at my place." While Leah lives out her eat, pray, love but without responsibilities fantasy. "And since she already spends so much time with you," Leah said, not even making eye contact, "it wouldn't be that much of a change." That's when I realized it. This wasn't a request. This was a decision they'd already made. I was just the last one to be notified, like a company letting you know you've been voluntarily reassigned to the overnight shift. "You're serious?" I said, putting my fork down. Mom gave me that smile, the one she uses when she knows she's asking for something ridiculous but tries to soften it with fake empathy. "Mark, it's just 3 years, it's not forever. Think about it as helping the family." There it was, the family card, the magic guilt grenade they've been throwing at me since I was 10. And Leah, she had the nerve to sip her water like she didn't just try to leave her kid like a package at my doorstep. I sat back in my chair and stared at both of them. I didn't yell, I didn't flip the table, I didn't launch into a lecture. Instead, I just said, "Okay, I'll think about it." And they smiled like they won. Like I was going to be the good older protective brother again who just swallows his frustration and picks up the slack while everyone else goes and lives their best lives. But nah, because what they didn't know is I already had a Google Drive folder with their names on it. Receipts, timestamps, voice memos, photos, conversations, all of it. They thought I was still the guy who just silently handled everything. They didn't know that after 2 years of being Leah's unpaid daycare, I was done being quiet. That night, I went home and opened my laptop. I added the lunch conversation to my documentation. Then I messaged an old friend of mine who works in family law and knows the ropes of reporting neglect. I told him everything. He replied with one sentence, "You've got a case, dude." I didn't sleep much that night, not from guilt, not from stress, just from rage-marinated clarity. This wasn't about helping family. This was about being used. And if Leah thought she could just drop her kid off like luggage and board a flight to a new life, she had another thing coming. Because next time she tried that, she wouldn't be dropping Riley off at my door. She'd be dropping her name into a CPS file. And no, that wasn't just an angry internal monologue. I was serious. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to throw chairs. I wasn't going to blow up like they expected. That's what made it better. They thought I'd either fold or flip. They didn't think I'd go quiet and strategic. So first thing Monday, I sent Leah a text. Super chill, super fake. Hey, been thinking. Maybe I could make it work, but I need to iron some things out first. Let's chat later this week. She took the bait like it was deep fried in flattery. Didn't even ask a follow-up question. Just hit me with, OMG, I'm so relieved. You don't know how much this means to me. I owe you big time. Yeah, you do, but not in the way you think. That same day, she dropped Riley off at 6:15 a.m. I'm not kidding. I hadn't even made coffee. No warning. Just a knock at the door, and there she was, holding Riley by the hand like a pizza delivery. She smiled like she was doing me a favor. She woke up early anyway, thought I'd swing by, love you. She vanished before I could even blink. Cool. Guess I work in a 24/7 child boarding facility now. Got to update my LinkedIn. Riley was still half asleep. She wandered in, plopped on my couch, and pulled a blanket over her head. I made her cereal. She didn't say much. By 10 a.m., I already had my headphones on, trying to get some code reviewed, when she popped her head into my office and said, Mommy said you're going to be my new daddy for a while. I stopped typing. I turned my chair slowly. Wait, what did she say? She said, I'm going to live here now, and you'll be my daddy, and I can call you that sometimes if I want. And I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or just walk into the woods and start a new life as a tree. Later that night, I got another Leah classic. Can you keep her overnight? I'm having a thing and it might run late. What kind of thing runs late on a Tuesday? Who knows? Maybe she was going to her own surprise party again like last year. Spoiler, she threw it herself. I didn't even reply. Riley ended up staying. She only had one outfit, so I had to wash her clothes while she slept. The next morning, I sent Leah a passive-aggressive masterpiece. Just so you know, I'm out of laundry detergent and goldfish crackers. If you're expecting me to run a daycare, I might need to invoice you. No response. But what I did get was a Google Doc in my inbox the next day, shared from Leah's email. Title, Riley, schedule, and preferences. I swear to God it had bullet points. She prefers almond milk but will tolerate 2%. Please don't let her watch screens more than 2 hours a day. Limit sugar after 3 p.m., or she gets hyper. Try to do outdoor play when possible. Ma'am, this ain't build a nanny. That night, I got a message from my cousin Sam's phone. He's the only one in the family with 2 working brain cells and the decency to not pretend Leah is some warrior mom just because she gave birth once. He sent me a screenshot of a group chat called Fam Squad. In it, Leah mom, 2 of our aunts, and one cousin I always knew was shady. They were talking about me, plotting, full-on scheming like I was some NPC in their Disney reboot of moms who manipulate. Messages included, he's always been kind of a loner. He'll cave if we keep Riley there long enough. We should frame it like he's already been doing it. Just extend it. Can we get him to sign something just so it's easier for travel? He works from home. He has no excuse. No one's that busy. My favorite part, Mom sent a voice note. If Mark refuses, let me handle it. He just needs a push. I'll make him feel like he's the selfish one. They were going to trap me. Make me sign some unofficial agreement. Probably tell me it was for insurance reasons or school registration. Next thing you know, I'm legally liable for a child I didn't make and didn't ask for. That was it. The switch flipped. I was done being reasonable. I was done being supportive. I was done pretending like I hadn't spent 2 years being emotionally mugged by these people. So I started crafting my message carefully, calmly. I opened the main family group chat, the big one, all the cousins, all the aunts, even the one uncle who's 90% eyebrows and 10% fart jokes. And I typed, Hey fam, quick update. Since there's been some recent talk about stepping up and doing the right thing, I thought I'd clear the air before the guilt parade rolls in. For the last 2 years, I've been watching Riley, unpaid, unappreciated, and unconsulted. What started as a few hours here and there became a full-time responsibility job while her actual parent lived her best life. I never signed up for this, never agreed to it. And now there's a plan in motion to dump Riley on me for 3 years without my consent and make me the de facto parent. Cute, right? I have receipts, more than you'd like. Give me 24 hours and I'll share them. Cheers. Sent it. Put my phone face down. Walked to the kitchen. Made a grilled cheese like a man who just took off the last ankle weight holding him back. Because if Leah and Mom wanted to play games, they just found out I brought the whole damn rule book. They thought I was bluffing. After I dropped the receipts in the family group chat, I expected the usual fake apologies. We didn't know it was that bad. A couple of aunts offering baked goods instead of accountability. But this time, the silence felt different. Like they were scared of what else I had. Good. By the next morning, my phone was lighting up with cousin DMs. Some pretending they always had my back. Others just straight up fishing for gossip. So, how long have you been saving that stuff? Leah's freaking out. She says HR emailed her this morning. Dude, she might lose that job. That last one, not a rumor. Turns out someone, no idea who, sent screenshots of her messages to her company. The ones where she talked about dumping her kid for me time and how she was planning to leave her daughter with someone dumb enough to say yes eventually. HR called it a red flag for international relocation. Offer revoked just like that. Poof. All those selfies she posted about her new journey, deleted. All the humble brag captions, gone. Her dream torched. And still I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no guilt, just quiet. Until the knock on my door. I opened it, and of course it was Mom. Of course she didn't say hi. Just pushed past me like she lived here. I closed the door and turned around. She was already halfway through the living room, arms crossed, scanning my place like she was looking for evidence of moral failure. Do you feel good about this? She snapped. About what? Not raising someone else's kid for free? Yeah, kind of, I said, heading toward the kitchen like this was just another Tuesday. She spun around. She lost everything, Mark. Her job, her future. You didn't just embarrass her. You ruined her life. I laughed out loud. She ruined her own life. I just stopped enabling it. That wiped the polite tone right off her face. She dropped the fake calm, Mom voice like a mask that cracked. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. She said things last night. Dark things, scary things. You don't want that on your conscience, do you? Ah, there it was. When guilt tripping doesn't work, try fear. And who knows? Maybe she was cracking. Or maybe she just realized emotional breakdowns play better with an audience. Hard to tell with Leah. Don't pull that with me, I said. She's been neglecting her kid for years. And now that someone finally held her accountable, I'm supposed to carry her emotional baggage too? Nah, I already carried her kid. Mom's jaw clenched. She stepped closer. That look in her eye like she was about to deliver the gospel truth. She just wanted to better herself, she hissed. A fresh start, a new chapter. Why is that so threatening to you? I blinked. Threatening? Yes, Mark, she snapped. You sit in this apartment all day glued to your screens hiding from the world. Meanwhile, your sister finally gets a chance to explore her passions, and you tear it all down because you can't stand that she's living her life while you're stuck here. I stared at her. So now I sabotaged her because I work from home. Oh, don't twist my words, she said, waving her hand like she was shooing a fly. You've always been jealous of Leah. She's spontaneous. She's social. People like her. And you've always been rigid, cold, always keeping score. I laughed again. Yeah, I guess documenting 2 years of unpaid child labor is what cold, rigid people do. She shook her head like I was the unreasonable one. She didn't mean for it to get that bad. She just needed help, a few days here and there. It was 4 days a week, overnight stays, missed pickups, and mystery mental resets where her phone conveniently died. I shot back. That's not a favor. That's abandonment in slow motion. She trusted you, she snapped. She thought you were family. She thought you'd be there for her. No, I said flatly. She assumed I'd be there. She never asked. She just dumped Riley on me and left. That's not trust. That's using someone. So what? You'd rather a little girl get taken away from her mother just because you're tired? She barked. You think the system's better than family? Family doesn't leave a 6-year-old to walk 5 blocks in the dark wearing flip-flops, I said. Family doesn't plan group chats to trap someone into guardianship like it's a vacation handoff. She stepped back, eyes wide like I'd slapped her. You went through our messages? Oh, please, I said. If you didn't want it seen, maybe don't plot like cartoon villains in a group chat named Fam Squad. She didn't say anything for a second. Then she hit me with the final grenade. You're not family. You're just cold. I tilted my head. And you're just complicit. She flinched. That one landed. Then, without another word, she stormed toward the door, didn't close it behind her, didn't look back. I stood there for a full minute, still processing. Then I walked over, shut the door, and locked it. I thought that was the end of it. That Mom's visit was the last desperate grasp of a power structure that finally collapsed. That now finally I'd get to move on. I was wrong. Around 8:30 that night, I was in my office reviewing client code when I heard a knock, soft, repetitive. I assumed it was a neighbor again, maybe someone returning a package. When I opened the door, my brain short-circuited. It was Riley, alone, holding a backpack, in her pajamas, flip-flops on the wrong feet, no jacket. She looked up at me and said, "Mommy said I'm staying with you now. She had to go do something important." I blinked. "Did she drop you off?" She shook her head. I walked. I live 5 blocks from Leah, not across some sleepy cul-de-sac either. We're talking real streets, traffic, sidewalks, streetlights that half work. It was dark, cold. Any number of things could have happened. She could have been hit, snatched, lost, and she just walked like it was no big deal. That's how normal this chaos had gotten for her. My hands were shaking, but I stayed calm. I brought her inside, gave her juice. She sat quietly on the couch like this wasn't the weirdest thing in the world. "Did your mom say when she's coming back?" She said maybe tomorrow or later. That's all I needed to hear. I didn't call Leah. I didn't text Mom. I didn't post in the family group. And before anyone asks, no, my mom wasn't an option. She made it clear from day one that she'd help emotionally, not practically. Translation, she'd guilt me over lamb stew but wouldn't lift a finger to actually raise her grandkid. I opened my laptop, went straight to the CPS portal, and started the report. Every detail, the drop-offs, the neglect, the walking alone at night, all of it. I uploaded screenshots, voice notes, the calendar log, the damn snack list, every shred of evidence I had. I ended it with one sentence: this child needs an adult, not someone who drops her off like a broken suitcase. I hit submit. And, just to be clear, I wasn't asking to take her in. I wasn't applying for sainthood. I just wanted someone to finally do something. Then I sat down next to Riley and put on a cartoon. That night, she fell asleep on my couch holding her juice box like a teddy bear. And me, I didn't sleep at all. Not from guilt, not even from anxiety. Just this wired kind of exhaustion. Like when your body's tired but your brain's still revving like a car that won't shut off. I kept checking the hallway light. Kept looking at Riley curled up on my couch under a blanket she picked out herself months ago. The one with cartoon sharks. She looked so calm, like this was normal. Like being dropped off without warning at your uncle's house in the middle of the night was just what moms did. At 9:12 a.m. my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello, this is Ms. Grant from Child Protective Services. May I speak with Mark?" Her voice was calm, the kind of calm you hear from ER nurses and bomb techs. "This is Mark," I said. She paused like she was letting the words settle. "We received a report last night regarding a minor named Riley H. currently in your care." "Yeah," I said. "She's here. I didn't really have a choice." "Understood," she replied. "We've reviewed the documentation. It was thorough. We'd like to conduct an initial welfare check today if possible." "Sure." "When?" She didn't even skip a beat. "We're already outside." I stood up so fast I nearly spilled my coffee. There they were. 2 CPS reps, 1 woman, 1 man, standing on the porch like they were about to serve a search warrant. I opened the door. That was fast. Miss Grant gave a tight smile. "We don't waste time with cases like this." They came in, took notes on the environment, neat, safe, stocked fridge, no weird smells or hazards. Riley waved shyly, showed them her juice box and her stuffed turtle. She didn't seem scared. That probably said more than anything else. After about 10 minutes, Miss Grant asked if we could speak privately. We stepped outside. "First," she said, flipping her notebook closed, "you did the right thing. It's clear this wasn't an impulsive report. You've been documenting things for a while." "I wanted to be sure I wasn't just being dramatic," I said. "You weren't," she replied, dead serious. "We've had several red flags with the mother before, but nothing concrete. This, however—" She didn't even finish the sentence, just shook her head. "What happens now?" I asked. "We'll be visiting her home within the hour. Depending on what we find and how she responds, we may remove the child from her custody temporarily. We'll need to interview you again, likely at the office, and get a formal statement." I nodded. "Whatever it takes." They left a card and told me not to post anything publicly or discuss the situation with Leah. Not that I had any intention of talking to her ever again. An hour later, I got the first text. "Leah, did you seriously call CPS? Are you insane?" I ignored it. "Leah, 2 minutes later they came to my house. I could lose her because of you." Then Mom called 4 times, then switched to voicemails. I didn't even listen to them. Just blocked the number. By noon, Leah was at my front door, banging, screaming, "Open the door, Mark, you've ruined my life, you're dead to me." The irony of her yelling that while trying to hand off her kid like an Amazon return wasn't lost on me. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't unlock a single thing. I just stood in the hallway and waited until her voice cracked and she gave up. Later that afternoon, I got a follow-up call from S. Grant, voice clinical. She's been flagged for emergency supervision. Riley will be placed in temporary foster care for now, not with you. CPS has policies. You weren't the legal guardian, and they had to assess whether keeping Riley with family was even in her best interest. After everything, they leaned toward no. She didn't even fight for her, Miss Grant said, sounding tired. Barely asked where Riley was going. Just kept yelling about her job, her money. I thanked her and hung up. Riley was eating lunch at my table, spaghetti her favorite. I sat with her. We talked about cartoons. I didn't say anything about what was coming. Later that evening, a caseworker came to pick her up. Kind woman, explained everything softly, like she was guiding a baby bird out of a nest. Riley hugged me goodbye without crying. Just one line, "I liked your house better." That one stung worse than anything Leah had ever said. After she left, the place felt too quiet. I didn't turn on the TV, didn't play music. Just sat there, let the silence roll in. At 9 p.m., I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. "You should have just said no like a normal person, but you always had to be the hero." It was Leah, probably texting from someone else's phone. I blocked it without answering. The next morning, Mom showed up again. I didn't open the door this time. I watched her through the peephole. She looked older than usual, less smug, more tired. She left a note tucked under the door. I left it there for 2 full days before finally reading it. "Your sister's being investigated. They might take her to court. Riley's with strangers, all because you wanted to prove a point. I hope you're happy." I tossed it in the trash. You know what never showed up in that note? Not once, "I'm sorry we put this on you." Not once, "We should have listened." Not once, "You were right." Because they weren't sorry. Not really. They were just mad I stopped playing the role. The silent helper, the backup plan, the emergency son. That guy's gone. Now I've got my space back, my schedule, my sanity, and for the first time in 2 years I'm living in a home that doesn't feel like a crash site. I figured that would be the end of it. It wasn't. CPS kept me in the loop more than I expected. The caseworker called 2 days after they picked up Riley to let me know Leah had a welfare episode. That's the professional way of saying she lost her mind during the follow-up. Apparently, she showed up at their office screaming about illegal kidnapping and character assassination. Security had to escort her out. That same night, they got a call from her neighbor saying she was pacing in the front yard talking to herself and smashing stuff in a trash bin. The next morning, she got committed. Voluntary technically, but only because CPS told her it was that, or face full termination of parental rights. The way they explained it to me was simple: therapy, parenting classes, weekly evaluations, full lock-in for at least 30 days, limited phone access, no social media, and zero access to Riley. I didn't feel bad. I just nodded and said, "Good." Someone finally made her stop pretending everything was fine. 2 weeks later, I got an envelope from CPS. Inside was a note Leah wrote during a therapy assignment, not addressed to me, just tagged for caseworker review, but they figured I should see it. She admitted to things, not in a dramatic movie-style way, just blunt. "I neglected my daughter. I used my brother. I ignored warnings. I let everything pile up because I thought I could guilt people into carrying it for me." There was no request for forgiveness, no excuses, just a list of what she did wrong and a sentence at the bottom. I was never going to change until someone forced me to. Finally, a line I could respect. I didn't reply, didn't call, didn't soften up, but I stopped thinking of her as a lost cause. CPS moved Riley into a new placement, one of those structured kinship homes. Not with me, but I checked in through the caseworker every few weeks. She was doing okay, better than okay actually. Enrolled in a better school, therapy twice a week. Her case notes said she was adjusting fast. No shock there. Kids are more resilient than the adults messing up their lives. The only thing that hit me was a letter she sent through her therapist. Short, barely spelled right, "Thank you. I like my new bed. I have a turtle named Soup. I miss your cartoons and cereal, you were funny. I stuck it to the fridge, not because it was sweet, because it reminded me of the exact reason I did what I did." About 6 weeks in, Mom showed up again. Third time's the charm, I guess. I didn't slam the door this time. I let her speak. She said Leah was still inside the program but had stopped lashing out. She was going through the steps. No fighting, no playing the victim, just showing up and doing the work. She asked about you, Mom said. Didn't ask for help, just asked if you were okay. I didn't respond to that. Then she said she knows this happened because she pushed too far. Still didn't say anything. Then Mom asked the real question. If she finishes the program, do you think she should get Riley back? Now that got a response out of me. That's not my call. That's between her, CPS, and the kid she ignored for 2 years. She nodded, probably the first time we ever agreed on something without arguing. Time passed. Leah stayed committed, graduated from the full inpatient program, and transitioned into court-supervised recovery. She had to complete parenting courses, live under surprise inspections, and passed 3 separate home evaluations over a few months. No shortcuts, no loopholes. I didn't visit, I didn't interfere, I just watched from a distance while she tried to fix what she broke. And to her credit, she didn't half-ass it. She didn't post about growth or share deep quotes online. No sob stories. She showed up, and kept her head down. First time in her life, probably. She eventually earned weekly visitation with Riley, supervised at first, then unsupervised with a caseworker doing pop-ins. It took almost 8 months before the court even considered reunification. She called me a week later, her first call since everything went down. I answered. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just said, "Thank you for doing what I couldn't. I get it now. I kept it short. I know." Then she said something that actually surprised me. "I used to think you were cold, detached, that you didn't care about family, but you were just the only one that wasn't delusional." She paused. "If you hadn't done what you did, I'd still be pretending and Riley would still be raising herself. I didn't need to say anything else." That call ended after that. So yeah, she's better now. Not perfect, but better. She's not a danger to her kid anymore. And more importantly, she knows she was. That's the win. Not that she got better, but that she finally got it. As for me, no more backup duties, no more emergency favors, no more being the guy who doesn't have kids so he can help. I'm done with all that now. I get up when I want. My phone doesn't blow up with guilt trips. My door doesn't get knocked on by people trying to dump their responsibilities on me. And if someone asks me if I'd do it all again, absolutely. Not for Leah, for the kid who needed someone to stop enabling the circus, and for myself because I was tired of pretending that family means letting people walk all over you. Sometimes setting boundaries makes you look like the villain, but sometimes it's the only thing that makes people finally change. That's not selfish, that's just the truth.